Thank you, Joey Temple.
Yours the very best this holiday season from the entire WURD family. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Progressive and proud.
Independent Black Media.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD Radio, 900 AM, 96.1 FM. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, you know, this has been a heavy sports week, as you well know. Sixers will be starting their season, I think, on Wednesday, or next Wednesday, or the NBA season will be starting its season next Wednesday. The Eagles, with their new quarterback, Jalen Hurts, we're going to talk about him in a minute, he had a really good start on Sunday against the Saints. I was at that game, and I thought he looked good playing against the number one ranked defense in the National Football League and really keeping that defense off balance. And somehow the team, for whatever reason, responded. You know, maybe it's because it's a new guy. I mean, I don't know, Jordan. I mean, it's a situation where, you know, Carson had been struggling. And when I watched that team on Sunday, where was this team all year? We could not find this team. I mean, it was like the team had been on a milk crate or something, milk carton or something, like, where's my football team? Missing in action. And they came out on Sunday and played it was probably the best game I've covered this year from just a purely artistic standpoint, in a sense that I didn't feel like the game was like I didn't feel the game was like taking a nail and rubbing it on a chalkboard. I can almost feel that. That's how this season has kind of grinded for the Philadelphia Eagles. And so he comes out and has a big game for them. He ran for 107 yards on the ground. He completed 17 of 30 passes, 167 yards, one touchdown. But he did have one fumble late in the game, foolish fumble late that could have, you know, turned the game around for the Saints, especially if Drew Brees had been there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing. But before you go out and start buying Jalen Hurts jerseys, you know, I mean, I don't, you know, there's some things that right now, you know, they don't have him on film.
Yeah.
And what oftentimes happens is when they don't have you on film, you know, you're going to have some, I guess, I wouldn't say beginner's luck, but, you know, people don't know his style yet. And when they put you on film, like you asked Lamar Jackson about that, and I'm going to talk about that Monday night game. Man, that was a heck of a football game. You see the Ravens and the Browns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, I got to tell you, as a Baltimore fan, I was like agonizing over the defense. And I'm not pointing out that game because I'm a Ravens fan. You rarely hear me talk about anything Baltimore, you know, on the show. But, you know, watching Lamar Jackson, you know, I mean, that late in the fourth quarter, coming to the game like Willis Reed. I mean, he was having cramps all night. Because, you know, you can get cramps on a cold night when you're playing, you're running, you know, if you don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
So he comes out like, and I don't know if you remember. Now, Jordan, let me give you some background. I know you're kind of young and all that other stuff. Back in Game 7, this is an NBA thing. Back in Game 7, the NBA Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks. That's right. The Knicks actually had a good team at one point, had a great team. And so Willis Reed had gotten hurt. I think he broke his leg or he had a leg injury of some sort. And he had gotten hurt, and he was kind of doubtful for Game 7. All of a sudden, he came out of the locker room. You saw Willis Reed kind of hobble on the court, and he came out early in the game, and that fired the Knicks and the Knicks fans up at the Madison Square Garden. I think he hit one basket and really didn't play for most of the game, but it fired and inspired his team, and the Knicks won the game. So whenever you see a guy kind of coming out of the locker room, everybody's going to bring that image of Willis Reed doing it for the Knicks, this guy coming out of the locker room. I mean, Mateen Cleaves kind of did the same thing in the NCAA tournament back in 2000, playing with Michigan State. But the same thing in this game. So, and what was so dramatic about it, and that's probably the regular season game of the year, because Lamar Jackson, came in on 4th and 5 and had kind of a, fair to middle in passing game, and the receiver that he passed the ball to, Marquise Hollywood Brown, had dropped 3 passes. And that, as a fan, that drove me nuts. I wanted to make my TV say, "You big dummy, that's the ball, that's the ball." I mean, Denise was on the other side. Boy, Denise sometimes gets out of the room when I'm in fan mode. But the thing is, though, he completes the 4th and 5 pass for a touchdown.
Just on that one play.
On that one play, and then Cleveland comes back. The Browns come back. They get they come back, get a touchdown, and then Lamar Jackson on all passes. He didn't run for the rest of the game. All passes got the Ravens in field goal position, and basically, and Justin Tucker never misses. Not even on Madden.
Nah.
Justin Tucker never misses. If you play in Madden, and so they win the game. I don't know if that's going to be enough for the Ravens to make the playoffs, and he has work to do. But let's bring it back to Philly. Forget Baltimore for now. Watching the game Sunday, the Eagles ran the football well. They did everything that you, Jordan, and I have been saying. Run the ball, take pressure off your quarterback.
That's right.
All of a sudden, Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey caught a touchdown pass. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Where has Alshon Jeffrey been? I don't know. Have you seen him? He was on the field.
Nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. He was on a milk cart too. And I'm not trying. And don't get me wrong, ladies. I'm not going to trivialize. There are some kids who are missing and they should be found. I don't want to trivialize that. But the thing is, he's been missing, and so. And it brings everybody to wondering, and I'm going to bring in Darryl Bell in here in a little bit, but it gets me to wondering, the Eagles now granted, the Eagles' offensive line has been bad, receivers, all of a sudden, and plus of that, there was an article, and I meant to bring, it was Ruben Frank from NBCSports.com was talking about Travis Fulgham, and it's like, this guy was like, catching all kinds of passes. They put him on the bench. They got him missing. I mean, put this guy on the field. Right. And people are starting to questioning, because Doug Peterson, after Sunday's game, wasn't all that, generous with praise, so to speak. He was not so fast about, and don't get it twisted. Let's be realistic about some things here. Number one, this is kid's first game, NFL start and everything, and a lot of times, if you have the ability, you may start off well, but at the same time, you got to get through other teams. Now, this Sunday, they go to, they're in Arizona. They play against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. I love that kid. I love Kyler Murray. I love watching that. Not because his last name is Murray. Don't get it twisted. Although that's the only jersey that I would ever buy. I don't buy. I'm not one of those guys. I'll buy throwbacks like Johnny Unitas and Lenny Moore. Roberto Clemente. I always buy the old school. But Murray's the only guy whose jersey I would buy because that's my last name, and I don't mind putting one and having Murray. That's just me. But I think people want to see how he goes against how Jalen Hurts goes against certain defenses. You know, they're going to try to cut him off from running. I mean, that was the thing. He showed mobility. He showed the ability to get outside, make plays with his legs and his arms. And basically, you know, Jalen Hurts represents the new kind of quarterbacks that are coming out today. I mean, you know, dual threat. And though they're not going to be as, you know, you're not going to be able to do that for an entire career. But that's the trend, dual threat, being able to run. And like I said, when Lamar Jackson learns how to pass, Jalen Hurts, you know, manages the passing. You know, if Jalen Hurts can be something like Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, those guys learn how to manage the game that way. They will be tough to stop. They will be tough to stop because now you got to worry about not only them running the ball or handing the ball off on the read option. Now you're going to see more RPOs. And that's what I think they're going to do, run-pass option for those of you, because I hate to throw those things out there. But, you know, like I was saying, you know, earlier, Reuben Frank had written an article about the whole, you know, Travis Fulgham and how Doug Peterson has been really, you know, with personnel decisions and all that. I think someone in the front office is basically, you know, telling him what he needs to do. And I don't know if that's ever right. I don't like it when front office personnel, the ownership, you know, when they put their hands in it like Jerry Jones. I know Cowboys fans don't like that, but I wonder, you know, about things. And I'm wondering if they keep Peterson, you know, what kind of nurturing that Hurts is going to get. And I think Peterson is working with him, but but when people asked about Hurts' performance, he was either extremely guarded or was just being guarded because he didn't want to offend Carson Wentz, who supposedly has been pretty good about dealing with it. But, you know, the thing is, at the end of the day, you know, this is Hurts' team for the rest. But we're going to see and the Eagles are going to evaluate whether or not they need a quarterback, you know, in the next draft. And we'll see but I'm not going to get too excited about Hurts' performance. I mean, it was a great performance, though. I ain't going to say that. But, you know, this is the NFL. People adjust to you. People see you on film. They figure out how to try to break you down. And, ladies and gentlemen, I want audience participation today. 215-634 8065, boy. Sometimes I got to make sure I get all that in my brain. 8065. Call in. Tell us what you think. Another piece of news this week, very important in terms of African-American history. The Major League Baseball, the commissioner, Rob Manfred, basically decided that they were going to recognize the Negro Leagues as an official, as a major league, okay? And they're going to recognize Negro League records if they can find them. And by the way, as our guest today, you know, he said he would come on. I'm scheduled to appear today. Is Sean Gibson, who is the great grandson of Josh Gibson, and he's going to talk about a lot of things. Why the MVP award should be renamed after Josh Gibson, and Josh Gibson was the Negro League catcher who was probably one of the greatest Negro League hitter of all time. And a lot of people, myself included, would say arguably he's one of the all-time great hitters that ever played the game, but just did not get the opportunity to do so because of the color of his skin. And so from that standpoint, we're going to talk about that today, how significant. Because I was also this week on a panel with the Baseball Heritage Foundation, led by my good buddy up in Cleveland, Justice Hill. And Justice is a longtime black sports writer. He was a college professor at Ohio University. Good individual, and he was one of the people who helped to select me as the Negro League's Baseball Writer of the Year back in 2008. So, we're going to be talking to. I was on this panel to talk about black baseball and people like that, and baseball this year. I mean, Mookie Betts, from this year has really played well And so he's a Dodgers center fielder, and just, man, he brought back old school baseball. But we're going to be talking about that today. Now, let's get to my calls. And, we're going to insert Darryl Bell in here in 1 minute because I'm going to have Darryl Bell with me for a little bit today. Have some fun with Darryl. He's my good buddy, my partner. So let's talk to Brother Joe from Germantown. Brother Joe, what's happening, brother?
Hey, what's up, Chris? And hello to your wonderful producer, Brother Jordan. Beautiful young man and stuff, man. How y'all doing today?
Man, I'm doing okay.
Pretty good.
I'll be to our live. Let me say this, brother, because we start talking about football and everything. I'm going to tie this together on the baseball. I'm glad you put up about the Major League recognizing the Negro League players, because your colleague, Dr. Paul, who Jordan did the show with earlier, he put it up as well. It's like, and I agree with Dr. Paul. I'm glad they're getting his long due recognition, but the saddest thing is that these brothers didn't get a chance to, play baseball. Because I've often said, and I've said this, don't you hear me well on this, I've actually said this on many white sports stations, not only in Philly, but around the country, and some of the white commentators had to gradually agree. I said, y'all always want to talk about putting an asterisk next to black people's names, whether it be Barry Bonds or whatever, and y'all can't prove anything, just accusations. But we know what happened with these brothers. I said, Babe Ruth, and again, don't misunderstand, I'm not saying that Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, who's a racist, by the way, and other guys, Lou Gehrig, wasn't great players. But how the hell are you going to sit there and say they was the greatest of all time if you kept a population of players from playing? If Josh Gibson, and I said this to white comedy, if Josh Gibson was allowed to play during the time of Babe Ruth and all them other guys, Babe Ruth, he may have surpassed Babe Ruth as the all-time home if he would have had a fair chance. You know what I mean? So you guys got to put that into context. You kept Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige was allowed to play. Who knows if Bob Feller would have been one all time, but not to say he would have been good, but you had Satchel in his prime, been allowed to play with the white boys. Who knows what the record books was. You always got to keep that in mind as perspective. These brothers were denied an opportunity to play. Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, and the other brothers like that, Buck O'Neil. These guys was denied their chance to play. So you always got to put an asterisk next to that and what could have been. And Brother Chris, I enjoyed, and I said the same thing with football, and I'm going to tie this up. Now, Chris, in this football pass-happy game today, with the quarterbacks being allowed to pretty much do whatever they want today, imagine if Warren Moon played today. I've always said this, Warren Moon had to play 5 years in Canada because of his race. He still, when he came to the NFL, he still wound up throwing for over 40,000 yards and over 300 touchdown passes, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. But imagine if you combine Warren Moon's Canadian yardage and stuff. Even right now, he might up there with Drew Brees and Tom Brady on yardage and completions and touchdowns. But my point is that imagine if he was allowed to come right out of school now into NFL in this pass-happy league and stuff like that. This boy, and especially at the offense just throwing the ball, he would own every record out there right now. Tom Brady and Drew Brees would be chasing him right now. And that's the truth, man. All you got to do is do the math, Chris. You can count.
No, I got you. No.
He owned all the records, all of them.
Joe, you're right, Joe. You're absolutely right about that, because I saw Warren Moon in college, and I remember because back in the late '70s, we didn't have all TV, we didn't have all these. We could watch college, you watch Pac-10, or in those days it was Pac-8. Mm-hmm. You didn't have all these TV stations, and so I saw. They said Warren Moon was a quarterback for Washington, and the year before that, Washington State had a guy named Jack Thompson to throw in Samoan. So when I heard the name Moon, I was like, okay, maybe this guy's Samoan. And I looked at Warren Moon on TV. I was like, Dad, he looked like one of my cousins. I'm like one of my relatives. And I, of course, like, this is a brother. Yeah, not that our Samoan brothers aren't brothers, but I'm just saying. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when I saw Warren, he tore Michigan apart. They were up 27-0 by midway through the fourth quarter. Michigan scored maybe 3 touchdowns late in that game. Late in the game, and I think when they scored 20, the final score was 27-20. But the damage had been done. I was like, because they've been talking about Doug Williams, Williams, he was the black quarterback. I was like, who is this guy, and why aren't we talking about this guy? as opposed to Douglas, because he was Warren was scrambling around, throwing the ball, running, passing, doing he picked Michigan apart in that Rose Bowl. I will never forget that. 78 Rose Bowl.
Chris,
and they did.
Because other white commentators gradually admit that he may have been the best pure passer ever. Pure passer. Now, when Patrick Mahomes is done, you might have to change that up a little bit when he's done. But, I mean, Warren Moore can throw that football, brother. It's a shame he was denied 5 years of this. People didn't understand it. This brother wasn't allowed to play 5 years. He had to for 5 years in Canada because of his racism and stuff. If he was a white boy with blonde hair and blue eyes, he would have been the #1 pick coming out of college that year. And we always got to keep that in perspective. Lastly, because of the other cars on the Hogan job on the Carson Wentz thing, and we're very sure about Lamar Jackson. That game Monday night, like you said, Chris, might have been a game of the year. But Chris, the playoffs started right now. The Ravens would be in as a wild card. So the playoffs started right now. The Ravens would be in. No question they'd be a wild card if they started now. And we got to wait and see how the best of three games. But they'd be in right now. But lastly, Chris, it's just amazing, Chris. And again, I'm not calling him to beat up on Carson Wentz because the Lord knows he's nothing been done to him. So, I mean, but my point is that why is it when it comes to white quarterbacks, when it was Vince, what's the brother played for Tennessee that had this thing with Jeff, what's his name, the Vince, for the Tiger at the time. He got into it with Jeff Fisher, what's his name? The quarterback from Texas.
You're talking about Vince Young. Vince Young.
Why is it when it's Vince Young, Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb, or any other black guy? Why they don't seem to worry about a black quarterback's feelings, or when it's a white boy, Doug Peterson got to worry about his feelings. You got to worry about this guy's feelings. But when it's a brother, they don't have no problem benching them, and they don't give a damn how much money they make. Randall got benched for bombs in his town and stuff, and he was one of the highest paid quarterbacks. Donovan got benched, and he was one of the highest paid quarterbacks. So it don't seem to, when it comes to a brother being benched, they don't care about the money he's making, or do they care about his feelings? But when it's a white boy, you got to kind of slide around the issue. You got to be sensitive. You got to make sure you don't hurt his feelings and stuff. I mean, come on with this foolishness, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, y'all don't care about black quarterbacks' feelings,
That's true.
That's all I'm saying, Doug.
That's true.
I promise I was going to get off so you can hook up with Brother Dow Bell and everybody, and I'll listen to the rest of the show, man, and stuff, man. And, definitely I'm glad these black baseball players get their long overdue recognition. They should have been got it. Thanks, Chris and Joe. Keep up the good work, brothers. Love y'all, guys. Happy Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, everything. Happy everything.
Thank you, Joe from Germantown. You make some really passionate points there. You're absolutely right. Got to go to break. I'm going to bring everybody in, Daryl Bell and everybody. Got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Power tax, yeah. All right. Power tax, yeah. Greetings, my people. This is Stephen Hutchinson, owner of Power Tax LTD. We do your taxes accurately, expertly, and get your refund immediately. And we answer your questions and explain what's going on in your tax return to increase your financial literacy. We are mobile, so we can come to you. So come to Power Tax. Call now, 610-955-6508, 610-955-6508, and get your questions answered. Come to Power Tax and be powerful.
Want to buy black for the holidays?
WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
The Word Radio newsletter.
Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources.
Stay informed
with the Word Radio newsletter.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. I got to tell you, by the way, and I've said this before, on January 2nd, you probably will not be seeing me on the air or listening to me on the air January 2nd. I'll be somewhere in South Philly getting married. So I'm getting married on that date, and I just wanted to put that out there. January 2nd, I'm finally getting married. And, and to Trey Lovely, y'all know who my fiance is, Miss Denise Clay. And I'm just happy to say that, but it's going to be kind of a small, limited ceremony because of COVID and all that other stuff. But I'll deal with that later. We'll talk later. Okay. Numbers are calling 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. Calling outside of Philadelphia. I'm gonna bring. First of all, I gotta say hello to Daryl Bell before I put Clyde and Maurice on. I'm gonna put Daryl. First of all, how are you today?
Hey, yeah. How are you, Chris, this morning?
I'm doing okay. In a minute, I'm gonna pick your brains on what you saw Sunday with Jalen Hurts and what do you expect to see moving forward. And I want to get your honest thoughts on this whole situation too. I always like your insights on these things. But first, we got Clyde from South Philadelphia. Clyde, what's happening, brother?
Man, I'm happy for you, brother. You better take care of that, brother. That sister, bro. Better take care of her.
Yeah.
And these good people.
Yeah,
good people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. She's a good woman.
I'm happy for you, bro. Let me say this real quick because I know you got guests. It's good. That they're recognizing our players. But here's the question, Chris. Like I said, I live in Kansas City and I've been to that museum. So I know they was trying to redo it and put it around a corner from where it was into the YMCA building. So I don't know if they did that. I haven't been back there, in a few years. So is the major leagues going to pay for that building now? Are they going to pay the relatives of these forgotten stars? Are they going to do that? We always go for these feel-good moments, and it sounds good on paper, but are they going to take care of these people and their relatives and things of that nature? They going to compensate them people for the years that they put in that they was not recognized. It kills me when they want to do these nice gestures and all like that there, and of course you're going to have some Negroes out here go, oh brother, well at least they're being recognized in this area. We should have been recognized. We've been saying this.
I would agree with that. I agree with you that thought. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Chris, we've been saying this for years and years and years and years. Mm-hmm. Josh Gibson suffered so many years and people don't realize. I'm glad you got his relatives coming on. And, they don't realize the sacrifice. Just like the stuff that we're going through now, over the years, our people sacrifice, and it seems like some of our people just want to forget sometimes. So I'm glad they made that gesture, and I hope the fight continues. As far as the local sport, Chris, man, I have never been a Philadelphia sports fan, man. I just can't get with they front office. They make bad decisions and things of that nature. And even I heard some rumbling about what's the guy the Sixers supposed to be trying to get?
James Harden.
Houston.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, like, oh well, we looking at his age and this, that, and the other. I'm like, you trying to win now?
you trying to win now. You worry about that later. That guy's already a bust because that coach that they had before just messed him up like he messed up on folks before they shipped him out of here. And, I mean, he should have been going, Chris. I meant to call your show when I heard this. Remember they was in the playoffs and they was already down 3. And he said, well, I'm going to get a guy a break. Give him a break. You need wins, stupid. I mean, this shows to show you, Chris.
Man. Man. I dig where you're coming from on that. I mean, my question to you about the Harden situation, would it be worth it though to trade because they talked about trading Ben Simmons for Harden? I'm weird about that. I don't know. I don't know how that would work, but this is a business, and that's how things are. As far as Josh Gibson, another guy who left this earth last week without getting his accolades, was one Richard Dick Allen, and I'm not really happy about that because to me it should have been Hall of Famer Dick Allen passed away. And they never did, and hopefully he'll get in. Hopefully he'll get in. Yeah. But that's a guy. When you say something, as we say in our less than grammatical perfunctory, he should have been in. He should have been in there and whatnot. He should have been in the Hall of Fame.
And this city treated him terrible, man. They can. Throw all the bunting and celebrate all they want. They treated him terrible, man. Throwing black cats at people. Hey, come on, man. That Ricky Ashburn. Yeah, I'm going to say it. That's right. Y'all hero. Ricky Ashburn. He was the #1 racist out there.
Wow. Yeah, that's what people said. That's interesting. But see, that's, black players suffer through that. And the thing is, now I'm glad to give somebody the accolade. I don't care when they get their accolades, but like a lot of people, one of the things, I was interviewed by Al Jazeera about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, about when Muhammad Ali came into town for he won the Medal of Freedom Award and Liberty, I think it was Liberty Bell, Medal of Freedom. I can't remember, but one of the things I said to the reporter from Al Jazeera was, at the time, I was glad they were honoring Ali while he was still alive, for all the things that he went through. And as far as I'm concerned, Clyde, I mean, I feel you. I feel everybody on that point is that you wish that a Josh Gibson, it's a shame because while you're proud of Jackie Robinson for breaking the color line in baseball, there are a lot of players who are way better than Ku Papa Bell. And some other guys were better than Jackie Robinson. And that's not to say Jackie Robinson wasn't a bad player. Jackie Robinson brought the Negro League style to Major League Baseball. So from that standpoint, it's a shame that we're getting Negro League. But at the same time, though, Clyde, and I have to semi-disagree with you, I'm glad that they're getting it. Okay,
well,
we may have to fight to get it sometimes.
No, you know what, Chris? I'm like I said, I'm happy. I'm not overjubilated about it. My thing is, okay, you did that. So what about the museum in Kansas City? Are you going to help these people out because it's privately funded? So are you going to help these people out? Are you going to help that young man? Give you another example. Are you going to help that young man that was on HBO that was looking up all these Negro League stars? You going to help that man out? See what I'm saying? Yeah. It's variables behind it. And then there's real quick about this. And these sports,
I got to get ready to go to break again.
All right, real quick. These sports stars here, right? Why in the hell is Joe Frazier gym sitting there empty? Isn't that place to be a museum? Just like Muhammad Ali got a museum, Joe Frazier have a museum right here. Don't make no sense, Chris. That's why I hate this city in sport.
Okay. Thank you very much, Clyde. Ladies and gentlemen, we come back. We got one more call, but I'm going to talk to Daryl, and we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, Negro League Baseball, Dick Allen. When we come back, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media. But Chris Murray will be right back. Oh, we got 4 minutes left. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'll thank you. Okay. Well, since we got a little bit of time left, Daryl, what are your thoughts on the whole? First of all, what are your thoughts on the whole Negro League thing? Are you glad to see that Major League Baseball is finally recognizing the Negro Leagues as a major league?
It's interesting that in this time period that we're in, all of a sudden it's cool to be black. And this is just another way of showing that. Black people knew baseball, and they knew the great of baseball. The greatest catcher of Philadelphia was Roy Campanella. People knew who Roy Campanella was.
Right.
But
played right in the Negro Leagues here.
You never saw the greatness of Roy Campanella. You heard about his tragedy. And yes, he won MVP thing. But can you imagine what Roy could have done had he been in the league when he was he could have gone in probably when he was 18.
Yeah, that's what a prodigy he was. Yes, no doubt.
Okay. There are so many stories about the gentleman brought up a very good point. Will Major League Baseball fund the museum? I'm almost sure they will do something. They're definitely going to keep the museum up, and they want to do something to generate interest in that museum. As far as compensating the families of former Negro League players, I don't know. That's a real sticky point. They may throw something together, but I wouldn't exactly hold my breath on that right now. You've already accomplished one thing, and that's getting the records recognized, and that's a step towards getting some compensation. You know, when you talk about money, people have they forget a lot of things. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. But he brought up an interesting point about the compensation.
Yeah, and the thing is, that becomes the compensation, becomes the money, and all that. I mean, and I hope they help Bob Kendrick, who runs that museum. Is a good guy. I've been trying to get Bob to come on the show. We always seem to miss each other, but Bob Kendrick, has been a huge advocate, and I would hope people would support him. Make that a part. Once we get all vaccinated up from COVID, and although right now stay safe, but the thing is, when you go vacations, go to not only go to the Negro League Baseball Museum, but also to the Jazz. There's a Jazz Museum that's right next to it because of where Charlie Parker was from, and it's one of those things when we got to start recognizing our own, and helping our own in this situation. And that's just something I believe in. But all right, so here's what we got to do. We got to go to break. When we come back from break, we'll have more Daryl Bell, and we'll have Maurice from Southwest Philly. And so, and like I say, you guys, 215-634-8065, you guys call in. You listen to the Chris Murray Report on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media. We'll be right back.
Family caregiving can be rewarding and challenging. Family and friends are the backbones of America's care system for older Americans and loved ones to live at home. African American family caregivers care for a loved one for an average of 5 years and help with medical and nursing tasks for over 30 hours a week. But now, caregiving may be harder than ever. AARP has information and online communities of other caregivers. Learn more at aarp.org/caregiving.
A holiday message to help us all and answer an important question.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. You see me heavy work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. The onWURD Podcast. Check out the onWURD 2020 in Black podcast series. Available now on your favorite podcast app or visit wordradio.com/2020 in black. You can also ask your favorite device to play onWURD 2020 in black.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. All right, now, I got a couple of callers here. First of all, before we get back, we got Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia. How are you, Maurice? How are things down Old Greg's Ferry Avenue? Just saying. How you doing?
I am Chris Murray, as usual. And I want to put it to you like this.
Lay it on me.
Wentz and Frank Wright. Let's put that together. Frank Wright is the missing piece. And right now, Wentz is having mental problems right now.
He's having mental problems. What kind of mental problems?
Mental problems is he has a ring, but he didn't win it. He didn't finish the job. He started it and did a good job starting it, but he never could finish it. Every time he looks at his ring, he doesn't have the fulfillment. He might have 80%, but that other 20%, another man stole it from him in his mind.
Well, yeah, that's, you're right about that. I mean, he was not in Minneapolis. He wasn't on the field. And sometimes as a young player,
he was in the playoffs.
That gets into your psyche. It gets into your psyche because you believe that you wish you could do it, and now things have kind of changed, and it's bad. And I suspect the worst thing that might have happened with Wentz was the drafting of Jalen Hurts. I didn't agree with it because if he's your starter, if he's your guy, you don't bring in another quarterback. I mean, unless you draft him in the 7th round to be a strict backup or something. But I can understand that feeling that Wentz had just, the world is on your shoulders. You're trying to prove something. And I get that. And, you got to it's hard for a lot of quarterbacks to deal with that situation. It's hard to deal with. And I understand it. I mean, it's a psychological mess. And then too, the inside baseball stuff, or inside football stuff rather, that I hear is that Wentz doesn't necessarily listen to the coaches.
Well, he doesn't listen to the coach that's there. He listened to Frank Wright when he was there. I'm just telling you, Frank Wright was the mastermind behind all that, taking to the Super Bowl, but people are not understanding what really happened. They're giving all the blessings to the head coach, which he played a significant part. But Frank Wright is the man that came up with them plays that got us over the top.
Yeah,
see, that's what they were not paying attention to. Frank Wright was so good that he went to another team. They wanted him off. They got him off our team because they seen the value in him. And here's another reverse racism that we don't talk about. The Eagles, with their racism, made sure that they gave Wentz all that money, an unproven oddity, as far as I'm concerned, all that big contract. Now they're stuck in a dilemma. Now they need to make a quarterback change, but they done gave this man all this money, and now they got a rookie out there that looks potentially like he might have been a trade bait for the future, but now they can't get rid of him because their main man that they wanted to be the star is not acting like one.
Yeah, that is a dilemma, which is why I think during the press conferences on Sunday and throughout the week, Doug has not been as, comfortable when it comes down. I mean, he doesn't want, like I said, there was an article questioning whether or not Travis Fulgham should get some more time because he's been killing it. I mean, and who knows, that might be another thing, that's hurting Carson's situation. So that's an interesting thing, Maurice. So I definitely, I would
like to hear Darrell Bell's conversation on that, because right now I really thought that they brought Hurts in. I thought they brought him as trade bait. I thought they put him out there, flash him. Maybe they could get some good defensive players for him in a trade or something like that. Right. The main base was to make sure that they took care of Wentz, and Wentz would show his form. But the problem is, once you take away that veteran coach and send him somewhere else, then he becomes a head coach and was doing well there for a while. You're taking apart the team. This is not the Super Bowl team. People keep thinking this is the Super Bowl team. These players have been deleted. Matter of fact, a lot of players that left this team are stars on other teams. So we got to look at. We got to understand. We're starting from one again, trying to rebuild again. So I want to let the experts handle this, because I'm not going to take up all the time, because I want to hear their opinion. So listen, thanks, Chris, and happy on your wedding. Yeah, you're going to have a great one, and do like I do when I was married. No matter what she says, she's always right, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I've learned that for a long time. Thank you very much, Maurice. Okay, so Darrell, what say you on this whole situation with Carson Wentz? Is Carson Wentz? Will Carson Wentz ever come back as a starter? I mean, has he been completely? Has his whole mind and his psyche been so completely damaged that he'll never come back? What's your sense of all this?
I never thought that Carson Wentz was that good. That's number one. Number two, once for 10 games in 2017, Carson Wentz was the best quarterback in the National Football League. There's no doubt about it. For 10 games he put on a streak, it was unbelievable. Then he got hurt. Nick Foles came in and did the Nick Foles does. Nick Foles is an excellent release quarterback. He's not a starter. But once you give Nick a chance, things happen. And he's going to Super Bowl. Okay, that was in 2017. The problem is that instead of being bright enough to realize that you have to retool, the Eagles thought that they were good enough to stand the test, and they were that next year. They still had good players, but you have to give Howie Roseman the credit for signing players that were basically shouldn't have been re-signed. He made bad business decisions, and as a result, this is what happens right now. Many years ago, USC played Alabama. And there was a guy named Sam the Bam Cunningham.
I remember Sam Cunningham when he was with the Patriots. Yep.
Right. And that's Randall Cunningham's older brother. And
absolutely.
Sam tore them a new one. During the game in Birmingham, I believe, the fans began shouting, "We want one. We want one." Well,
get us one, yeah. They were doing that, absolutely.
When you saw what Lamar Jackson did to the Eagles about 6 weeks ago,
That came to my mind. We want one. We want one. And guess what? We have one, Philadelphia. This kid can be a difference maker. You're going to see.
You think that Jalen Hurts? Okay, go on. Go ahead.
You're going to see two quarterbacks tomorrow who are the future of the National Football League. They are mobile. They have strong arms, and they are very knowledgeable in what they're doing. You're seeing the future. Now, the problem is, can the Eagles capitalize on that future? And so you can't bring back a Deshaun Jackson. You can't bring back an Alshon Jeffrey. You need to change with the time. You need to retool, and you need to get better.
I would agree. And they had and see, part of the problem with this, though, Daryl, was that in the last 2 years, you and I have talked about this, you, me, and Don Hunt. We basically said, look, the last two drafts, DK Metcalf was available, Justin Jefferson, the Vikings, and y'all heard me back. I was pleading, get this guy. They didn't get this guy. They brought in Jalen Reagor, who I think is okay. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's just not, just not what Jefferson.
And I could say a little bit more about DK because his daddy is from my wife's hometown. So they are, I know a little bit more about DK than many others do. Right. But the bottom line is that you have to retool. In the NFL, you have to retool. You have to be ahead of the game. Frank Reich is, as far as an offensive mind, he's a genius. And Carson Wentz goes to Indianapolis. Yes, he will make a difference. I mean, he's a broken quarterback, but, I think it's like you stayed at the party too long. It's time to go home. And I think you're seeing, if this kid comes out and does what he did last week against the Cardinals team, and if this team all of a sudden gets hot, you cannot give Carson that big contract. You have to open up the competition. And that's where they're at. They're at a dilemma. They're at a crossroads right now. Do you bank it on a young quarterback? I mean, they're both young. But do you bank it on a guy who can run like the wind, or do you bank it on a guy who can run and get hit?
And Carson has several thousand injuries that he had going back to his college days, too. So, you got to take that into consideration as well.
Well, the injury, football is a game of youth and injury. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hurt. Carson is still a National Football League quarterback. He's just not. I think you saw the difference in the style of play when he's under center and when Hurts is under center. And you can call it excitement. You can call it luck. You can call it what you want to. Hurts brings a skill set that Wentz doesn't have. This guy, I think probably, who's the fastest? Sanders may be the fastest Eagle. Hurts ain't too far behind.
Right. Let's go to, let's see, we got Barry from South Philly. Let's see what Barry thinks. Barry, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for letting me in. What I had to say was about the baseball thing. Now, back when the Negro Leagues was out, they had come into different cities when the teams was out of town. Like when Connie Mack saw that these teams need to play, most of the culture around Connie Mack Stadium is at 20th, and Lehigh was Irish and Italian. And he, being an Irishman, he saw that when he let them in, his tailgates was turning, and that money was coming in. You could see some old black and white. You see some black and white photos of black people who's coming in watching those games. They turning them turnstiles, and he made money. And not only him, in other cities, when their teams was out of town, Negro Leagues came in there and played.
The fans packed the joint.
So it was all about economics.
Right.
For them. So that's what I want to throw in.
Okay. All right. No, you're right. I mean, Negro League Baseball in Philadelphia, the late Stanley Glenn would often tell me, he was like, Chris, it was happening. It just wasn't. That's how he talked. And he would just say, he was saying women wear they would be dressed in the nines on a Sunday out of the old ballpark. They used to be next to Kunkel Cole out of 44th and Parkside. And I recently heard some people that vandalized that monument out there. But people came out, and when they let the Negro Leagues play in the major league parts, people came out. It was like a party. It was like I always say, as popular as basketball is now, baseball is what basketball is to the black community today. I mean, baseball was like, they'd be in Chicago. That was like going to homecoming. It was equivalent going to homecoming, going to a classic. You were going to a Negro League. You were going dressed to the nines, hanging out. I'm sure there was good food there and all that. And so it was just, that's what it was. So, and like I said, we're going to have, at the top of the top, we are coming up on, on a break. We are coming up on our break, but Daryl, as always appreciate your insights. So we're going to bring in Sean Gibson at the top of the hour, and then we're going to let you folks have at it after that. So Daryl, as always, thank you for being here with us today.
It's always a pleasure, and as the soon-to-be husband is my good friend Denise Clay, it's all good.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Last year, the Pennsylvania Lottery contributed over $1.2 billion to programs that benefit older Pennsylvanians. Programs like senior centers and hot meals, long-term living services and home care, property tax and rent rebates, transit rides, and much more. To learn more, visit PALottery.com and check out the interactive map to see how the Pennsylvania Lottery benefits older residents in your county. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
America's biopharmaceutical companies are making progress against COVID-19, now with several promising vaccine candidates in Phase 3 clinical trials. With an effort to include people from every walk of life, these trials involve tens of thousands of participants. From development to clinical trials and throughout the manufacturing process, these medicines and vaccines are rigorously tested for safety and effectiveness. Go to pharma.org/coronavirus for updates. Because science is how we get back to normal. Paid for by Pharma.
The onWURD Podcast. We'll be trying to make sense of 2020 for a very long time. And to start, WURD Radio has launched a special 4-part podcast series, onWURD 2020 in Black. Join WURD President and CEO Sarah Lomax-Reese and your favorite WURD hosts as they reflect on the big issues from 2020. From the pandemic to the global protests for racial justice to the 2020 election and how you heard it all here on WURD, one of the only independent black-owned talk radio stations in the country. Check out the latest podcast, onWURD 2020 in Black, available on your favorite podcast app or visit wordradio.com/2020 in Black. You can also ask your favorite device to play onWURD 2020 in Black. Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back, and today we were talking about the Negro Leagues being accepted as a major league for that time. One of my favorite people in terms of advocacy for this situation is the great grandson and Sean, I hope I got this right, of Josh Gibson, Sean Gibson, who is the head of the Josh Gibson Foundation. And so Sean, first of all, welcome to the show. And I just wanted to get your reaction just off the top to Major League Baseball really recognizing the accomplishments of people like your great-great-grandfather in terms of, because like I say, those were some of the greatest players of all time and that should have been in the major leagues.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Chris, as always. Josh is my great-grandfather. But,
okay.
First and foremost, we're definitely excited. This was a big announcement made on Wednesday, not just for Josh Gibson, but for the Negro Leagues in general and all the other great players that played in the Negro Leagues, as well as the family members. We're all excited. But, I would say this, though. We always consider Josh and Satch and other great Negro League baseball players major leaguers already.
Right.
So, we always consider them as great players. Now it's just for the naysayers who always try to discredit the Negro League stats. This is something for them. So now that, Josh will be ranked in some of the top categories in MLB, and some in the top 5 in some of the categories. So for us, it's a phenomenal achievement.
Wow. Because, Josh Gibson, your great-grandfather was a prolific hitter and was considered probably not the greatest Negro League hitter of all time, but there are a lot of people who would say he's the greatest hitter of all time. What were the stories that people, within your family talked about when it came to your great-grandfather, as a player? Did he play with the kind of confidence and the kind of swag that we've heard about from a lot of Negro League ball players?
No, when Josh played the game, he was not a showman like some of the Negro League baseball players was. Don't get me wrong, him and Satchel Paige had their battles and some of the other great players, but, Josh was more of a humble type person from what I was told from the family members. Kind of a jokester. He did like to joke around a little bit and jokester, happy-go-lucky type of guy. But when it came down to baseball, he was really serious about it, and he took it very seriously. But no, he wasn't that type of player. But I will say this, him and Satchel Paige had their battles, and we all know the history between those two. But, it was just some great talent in the Negro Leagues, and it's finally, justice is due. Well, justice has been done since they made the announcement on Wednesday.
Right. Do you know some of the records that they're going to take into consideration because they always talk about the home run thing, and I think Josh Gibson reportedly had 800 home runs and all that, but so far they said they've only found 238. I'm just wondering, what stats do you think will jump out, in terms of, how great Josh Gibson was, and which one do you think they'll include the most?
Right. Well, you get to the home runs real quick. So as you mentioned, Josh is credit for hitting over 800 home runs. It states that on his Hall of Fame plaque. And so, but some of the records are against, some of the home runs, I should say, are against barnstorming teams, semi-pro teams, and of course in his Latin days. And so those records will not be counted. And so based off the information I was told from the researchers who spent over close to 20 years doing this research, is that they're going to calculate Josh's games only in Negro League play. And
right.
It's about 60 to 65 games for those games being played. But take away the home runs, now we're going into the stats. So right now, if Josh, when he gets in, batting average, he will be second behind Ty Cobb in all-time batting average.
Wow.
On base percentage, he will be fifth all time in on-base percentage. Now, the big one is 1943, Josh hit batting average of 441. If they assume that, that'll be the most single-season record of all time. So, we'll take those 3 or 4 categories and leave out the home run. We'll take it.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about the foundation. I've known you and I met in Kansas City back in 2009, and you have been passionate. I've talked to you, I've written stories, but tell us about the foundation and what you guys endeavor to do to keep, Josh Gibson's memory out there.
Yep, so actually I'm located here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right down the eastern part of, the western part of the state. So, and yes, as you mentioned, so my grandfather, Josh Gibson Jr., who also played in the Negro Leagues, started the foundation, and then I got involved with the foundation once I got out of college. And, the main goal is to preserve the history of Josh through young people. And so we have several educational components from a curriculum in the schools called BOSA, Business and Sports Academy, which teaches kids the business side of sports, sports media, sports law, sports marketing, and so on. We have our STEAM program for boys. We are partnered to Pittsburgh Public Schools, so we have a mentoring program. We have our Josh Gibson Baseball Academy. So we've been around 17 years here in the city and just really focus on inner city kids, trying to provide an outlet for them to come into the foundation, and then once they leave our foundation, become great and successful people.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's that's always a good part of that, because it's a combination of education, and I think that a lot of our young people really need to have that as well. So and I know you guys always do fundraisers just about every year. But another thing, another question I'm going to get back into what was the reaction of some of the families, some of the descendants of Negro League ball players that you talked to when y'all got the news from Manfred that they're going to be considering the major leagues? I mean, in addition to Josh was one of the all-time greats, but there's a lot of other ball players whose names most people haven't heard as well.
Right. And so, I think there are going to be 3,400 players that played in the Negro League. Some may be and some may not in these record books. But yeah, so when this news came out, I spoke to Linda Page, who is Satchel Page's daughter, and I spoke with Buck Leonard, Rose Hunter, who is Buck Leonard's daughter, and we talked pretty often. And so, again, we're excited about the situation and the announcement. I think for the families, it's more of unanswered questions of what's next and what does this really mean. Because MLB just made the announcement, but they never had anything to follow up with the announcement. So we don't know exactly what all is going to come about. So when does it officially happen? When can you Google Josh Gibson's name or MLB records? He's actually listed. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of questions that, we would like to have answered. So, but overall, the families, they're excited about it. But again, Chris, like I said before, this is just, we don't look at, I think the one thing that the family was really not say upset about, but was like, wow, is when they mentioned, I think Manfred mentioned this will elevate the Major League Baseball. We don't feel like this is an elevation. We feel like this is more of a merger, because the Negro League baseball players, they were Major League players. And it just so happened that Kennesaw Mountain Landis denied those guys the opportunity to play because of the color of their skin. So they didn't look at themselves as some kind of semi-pro team or another league. They were great players, and me personally, I feel as though if the African American players would have played in that time era, it would have changed the game. It would have made it a lot faster. It would have been more exciting. A lot of records would have been broken back then. And so when they say it's elevating, it's more of a merger to me. It's just merging together as one.
Right. And the thing about it, when you think about guys like Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, Cool Papa Bell, we talk about Jackie Robinson, and don't get it twisted. I think most people are proud of a Jackie Robinson, but I get the feeling that a lot of that. Of course, the world didn't really see the best of black baseball at that time. I mean, you had some really the greatest players. I mean, you know, and indeed the Negro, and if I can get you to talk about this too, the impact that the Negro League ball players had on Major League Baseball. I mean, you can see it in the National League MVP awards from about 1949 to about 1962, when a lot of black players, and some of them played in those leagues, dominated the game. So if I can get you to talk about the difference that these guys made coming into the sport, coming into the major leagues.
Right, and like you said, yeah, you know, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947, and you know, Jackie was a great player, and you know, but there was a lot of talent in the Negro Leagues that could have went before Jackie, and you know, a lot of America missed out on some great talent. Now I will say this: when you talk about the Negro Leagues and you talk about their greatness, and you're talking about like a guy like Oscar Charleston, you're talking about Papa Bell, Bert Saxon Josh, but you got Turkey Stearns, Muriel Settles. I mean, so these names can go on and on and on. And so as we speak of today, I mean, these guys' names will be in history forever. And the good thing about it is that, a lot of records are talking. I mean, when you talk about the Negro Leagues, you talk about crossing the color barrier. The first name that comes up, of course, is Jackie Robinson. And of course, Jackie's stats are already in the majors, right? And so now what's going to happen is all those guys that didn't get opportunity will now be included as well with Jackie. And so, but there's a lot of questions out there. Like I said, people are asking me, like, well, why did it take Major League Baseball so long to do this? There's a lot of questions out there. Then it feels like, well, why they, it's like 2 weeks before the new year, they announced at the end of the pandemic year. And so it's a lot of, speculation of what's going on. But, for us, the Gibson family, we're in the MVP campaign race. The MVP award may be renamed after Josh Gibson. And so for us, this is perfect timing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing because, like I said, Josh Gibson was just, was just the stories I've heard about him. And it was something, you and I talked about something years ago when it came to that, because there was a movie, and I don't think they show it much anymore on HBO, called Soul of the Game. And I know, I remember talking to you back around 2009, 2010, that you felt that movie really didn't get an accurate portrayal of who Josh Gibson was and whatnot. I mean, how was that going in terms of trying to really tell people what Josh Gibson was like? You were telling me earlier he wasn't the guy who had swag or anything like that. He was a humble guy and very serious about baseball. How much does it, does it concern you and the family that, because there was this image of Josh as someone who was a troubled player and whatnot? How have you guys been trying to combat that situation?
Right. And just to touch on that, so yeah, the movie was based off of Jackie Robinson, Satchel Paige, and Josh Gibson. And the movie portrayed Josh as an alcoholic and mentally unstable. And so, we understand movies are made for excitement or try to draw people in. I've talked to several players that were living at the time, and Double Duty Radcliffe was one of them. And he never mentioned anything about Josh's demeanor that way. And so when people try to depict Josh Gibson in a negative way, that's why the family is there. That's why we uphold Josh Gibson in a high standard. And don't get me wrong, was Josh Gibson a casual drinker? Of course he was. I mean, just like any other white baseball player was in that time. And so when they talk about Josh Gibson off the field, you got to hear it straight from the family. Josh was a family man. He loved his family. Josh, I mean, if he could have been crazy because, Josh was married at 19 years old. He lost his wife at childbirth, giving birth to their twins. So any man that goes through that at a young age, the doctor, he actually wanted the doctor to save his wife and let the twins go, but it was already too late. And so if you are 19 years old, not married that long, you're a single father now, your wife just passed away, you're trying to play baseball where white folks are trying to kill you some states. And so, that would drive anybody crazy. So, but Josh was not crazy, man. He was not say crazy, he didn't have a mental problem. I don't use the word crazy. He didn't have a mental problem. You know, Josh, he died of a tumor. He had a brain tumor. He died at the age of 35 years old, and God rest his soul. You know, and that was it.
Wow. Well, because the thing is, a lot of those players, there was just so many great players. And the thing is, and because this was another question that I meant to ask too, is the fact that does this recognition mean that the marginalization? Because a lot of times, and I think we've seen this, if you went to an HBCU or something like that, people tend to say they always look, even though I think HBCUs are among the best places to educate African American people, but they're oftentimes marginalized. Do you think that this brings an ending to this sort of marginalizing of black baseball? Maybe by the media and all that. That now that it's been recognized, these guys were in effect major league players who just weren't allowed to be in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Chris, you would know better than me. You're a reporter. Some people are going to report certain things, and some people are going to report other things. Right. When it comes to the Negro Leagues, like I said, the family members, we always thought these guys were great baseball players. We always thought they was the greatest of all time. We always upheld the Negro Leagues as a high standard, right? And so you're going to have some reporters. I mean, I've been on the phone since Wednesday, nonstop, doing interviews. And one guy asked me about, well, how do you feel about some of the, white family members when their family members get knocked out of some of these rankings? I'm like, you have to ask them. I mean, I don't know. You got to ask them that question. And I told him, I said, well, the one thing we always know, records are made to be broken. Right. There's not too many records that are still going to be last forever. And so, so you're going to have some reporters that are still going to doubt it. You're going to have some reporters or media that's going to embrace it and know that they embrace it and talk about it. So, there's always going to be, something going to say, oh, well, they didn't play this, they didn't do that. They only played. The next question is going to be, Chris, well, they only got 60 games. That's going to be the next question.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's always like, is it a feel of always trying to move the goalposts back a little bit? It always feels that way, right? I mean, is that the case?
Right. Always. When it comes to our people, always.
Right. It's always the case of moving because the thing about, and I think there's some poetic justice there, because there is a sense of justice in the sense that, Kennesaw Mountain Landis and the whole baseball establishment, and not just, the baseball, I'm talking about the rioters, the baseball writers, of America, Baseball Writers Association. I mean, they were one of the main people that really tried, which is why we were proud of Wendell Smith and Sam Lacey for really keeping that story going, and Lester Rodney for keeping that story going. And this whole thing just kind of goes back to just keeping them out. So would you call this a sense of poetic justice in some way, or just justice in general?
No, definitely poetic justice. Definitely poetic justice, and it's redemption. It's redemption. These players deserve everything that they receive. And since you brought up poetic justice, actually I did an article in August for The Undefeated. I just did a new one. This came out today. So if anybody listening, go read my essay in The Undefeated. My first essay in The Undefeated talks about poetic justice because, as I mentioned, Josh Gibson is one of the candidates, one of the 3 candidates to be renamed the MVP after him. And I talked about poetic justice and redemption, how ironic would it be for the person who denied African Americans the opportunity to play baseball, which is Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who was the commissioner, have his name replaced by one of the guys that were denied the opportunity because of him, and it'd be Josh Gibson. And so that's definitely poetic justice. But, as far as the MVP, the way we look at it is, if the MVP is renamed after Josh Gibson, that's not just about Josh Gibson. That's about those 3,400 players who didn't have a chance of playing in the Negro Leagues. So he'll be carrying all those players on his shoulders, and all those family members will be celebrating with the Gibson family when that happens.
Wow. Well, you don't know yet how Major League Baseball is going to honor this. I mean, are they going to go from park to park when the season starts next year? I mean, how do you think they're going to, you know, have they told you anything about how they're going to give record? Because they know this was the 100-year anniversary this year. And so do you know how they're going to basically, you know, I guess celebrate this or honor this? Will it be through Major League Park? I mean, have they told you anything yet?
No, and that's why I was saying earlier in the conversation, it's with the family, just a lot of questions that we would like answers to. But that's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of great questions, Chris. But no, Major League Baseball hasn't done any kind of follow-up. All they did was make the announcement, and, you know, like I said, what does that mean? Now, what we do, what's going on moving forward? So, right.
Right. Is there anything the fans, anything all of us, is anything that we can do, I can do to help in this regard?
Well, as far as the MVP, yes. I mean, if anybody's listening, we do have a petition, which is on our website, which is joshgibson.org. You know, again, read our story about why we feel as though Josh is a great candidate to rename the MVP after. If you feel that way, sign the petition, share it with your friends, share it with your family members. But, you know, other than that, you know, we also have a MVP campaign website, which is jg20mvp.com. Go to that website, read all the information about the MVP and what we're trying to do to get Josh's name on that. And so right now, Chris, is just, you know, we got a lot of momentum going. You know, a lot of momentum is going. This is a great day. You know, I'll say this. Monday, December 21st, is Josh Gibson's birthday. So we'll be celebrating that, and this is a great birthday gift for Josh.
Okay, well, that's good, man. So like I say, you guys, the website now, if you want to see, now the website itself is joshgibson.org. I pulled that up as well, and that petition is there. So ladies and gentlemen, sign the petition. One of the stories that I got, the one kind of legendary story that I got to tell, you know, one of my favorite stories about Josh Gibson, before I let you go, it was like one time they were playing the Philadelphia Stars. You hit a home run in Philadelphia so far that it landed the next day in Pittsburgh. Do you still hear all those stories of what? I mean, can you give us all those legendary stories about his feats as a player?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was the other way around. It was actually in Pittsburgh, and they played in Philly. But it's but that's one. I mean, you know, when you talk about Josh Gibson, you talk about the home run greatness, you know. Everybody know he hit the furthest ball. Some people say he hit the ball out of Yankee Stadium. You know, and, you know, you hear stories about Josh Gibson hitting the ball. Like here in Pittsburgh, they played at Forest Field. Forest Field sits in the area called Oakland, where the University of Pittsburgh sits at. There were stories where Josh Gibson hit a home run, and it went into the University of Pittsburgh School Library. And so you hear these stories about Josh, man, and, you know, Josh is quoted where he says, he don't break bats, he wear them out. So, I mean, the legends goes on about Josh, you know, and I'm hoping that these legends now will definitely be solidified through MLB records, and we're hoping that, you know, like you said, when we can Google MLB records and we can see the actual names of the great Negro League Baseball players listed with the other great players in Major League Baseball. That's what we're waiting on.
And on that note, Sean, good Lord, I'm sorry, I truly apologize. Sean, thank you, you know, for being here with us, man, today. I look forward to bringing you back, because you know I'm going to bring you back and talk about these things. I definitely appreciate you being here today. And thanks for the knowledge you've laid out to my audience today. So we will see you again, and definitely when Major League Baseball, you know, decides what they're going to do, we'd love to have you back.
You know, man, you're my frat brother, so it's always good to talk to my frat brother, man. And as always, please have me back. Anytime you need me to come back, I'm a phone call away. And definitely when Josh Gibson is named an MVP award, we definitely got to talk about that.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt about that. Sean, thank you so much, man. Thank you for all the work that you do, and please keep our young people informed, man. Please do that. I appreciate having you here, man. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go to break. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, the Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt.
like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew, I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This year's been tough, but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/Internet Essentials.
At Champion Dentistry, we want to make sure your smile is as healthy as it is beautiful. Whether you're calling for a routine checkup, calling about a newly developed toothache, or interested in learning about cosmetic dentistry options. Our services include routine checkups, cosmetic dentistry, gum care, laser dentistry, and more. Champion Dentistry is in the Overbrook Farm section of the city, easily reachable by public transportation. Call 215-473-4717 to schedule an appointment today or visit championdentistry.org, the House of Smiles.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Sean Gibson, although, man, I kept calling him. For some reason, I called him Josh, and I shouldn't have done that. I'm a professional. I'm a pro, but sometimes I guess that happens, you know. But Josh Gibson was one of the all-time great ball players. My God. I mean, I'm glad that Major League Baseball is giving them some recognition. I hope they recognize them right. And but if a few white players get slided off that list, you know what? That's poetic justice. You know, that's a little bit of justice because you should have had them playing. They should have been playing in those. We should have seen Oscar Charlton. We should have seen Cool Papa Bell. You know, and those guys competing against the Ty Cobbs of the world. We should have seen them in there. So. Don't get mad if some of their stats tend to move some guys off because you may say it's not fair. It wasn't fair that they weren't in the game. So we got Harold from North Philadelphia. Harold, let's hear it. What's going on?
Good evening. How are you? Afternoon, brother. You know, we all make mistakes. So you did it. You did nothing by it. But, you know, I was so happy the other day when I heard that, and I saw it on TV, and I happened to look up, and I have some friends of mine that's been dear friends of mine down through the years. His great-grandfather is named Cool Papa Downs. Have you ever heard of him by any chance?
Cool Papa Downs?
Yes.
Is that... no, I've heard of Cool Papa Bell, but go on, tell me you.
I guess back in the days there was a lot of Cool Papas out there. Yeah.
I'm gonna start calling myself Cool Papa. I like that. But go on, man.
Oh, okay. Well, years ago when I was over their house on Leland Street, they lived at Leland in the Francisville area.
Right.
His grandmother was showing me some things about Cool Papa Downs, and he had a cutout. You know, one of these cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. I've seen them. Yes.
Yeah, with him with a bat in his hand, And that's when I first got the knowledge of Cool Papa Down. And then he became a manager. You know, he just moved himself on up to somewhere. But if you Google him, I think he's buried in Virginia. But his sisters, they used to live right there in the 800 block of Leland Street. You know where Leland Street is in Philadelphia?
Not real. I mean, not off the top of my head. No, I do not, and I apologize for that. I'm still, you know.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. Matter of fact, his granddaughter still lives in the same house that he used to visit back during the 20s. Okay. Thank you for hello, Trent. His nephew, his great grandson is listening now, so he might be one of you cues. I don't know. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much for the call. Next, we have on with Prince from Schuylkill. Prince, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, that was a powerful interview, man. That was a real good interview. I really don't think I think we should not give them the ability to include the Negro League players in the major league. I think it's going to devalue our Negro League cards that we have. And I think once again, the major league is using African Americans to bail them out. And 44% of Major League Baseball players, people of color, are either from Cuban or Dominican. So you don't really have many African Americans playing baseball, you know. And so I think we need to do a thorough assessment before we say we just happy and elated for them to take total control over something that they want no part of. And the problem I have is that the Negro League was much better than the Major League and the American League at the time, and that's why they had to break it up. So we give them the ability to control by giving them accolades and no substantial dollar amount, because they lost. They didn't even make any money. They played it for the love of the game compared to what they make now in the game. And so I think, you know, we would just be bailing them out once again. And I think it's our ignorance to give up something that we know was better than the product that they put on the field. So why don't you just create a Hall of Fame for African-American Negroes who played in baseball? Why don't you just create that? Like, stop including us in order to have the rights to us. And that's just a fundamental major problem. And I think I want to ask you a question too. Can we get out of signing? Like, can an athlete get out of signing? This reminds me of this slave auction mentality, where bad enough they strip us and they weigh us and they do all the analytics on us, and then they make us sign contracts to play. Why are we signing contracts when we aren't getting paid? Why are we signing college contracts? Why are we committing to high schools? If we go to that high school, why can't we just go and play ball? Why do we have to sign contracts?
I don't know if I have an answer for that one. I guess it's a legal thing, but one of the things that I think you mentioned about, you know, Negro League Baseball was one of the biggest black businesses in the country, and the thing about it, the vision of Rube Foster was to you know, get more black ownership and black people as general managers and stuff like that, managers. And I think, you know, I guess that's a part of it, but you're right. The thing that bothers me, the black kids aren't playing baseball. And, you know, and I'm going to say this just as a sweeping, maybe I'm saying this as a sweeping indictment or a sweeping in general. I'm still trying to figure out the person or the persons in quote-unquote black pop culture who said baseball was boring. I don't personally think baseball is boring. A little slow, but it ain't boring. I mean, because if you know the game, you know what's going on in the game, and you know what things is exciting. I like to find whoever said that, you know, first and foremost, because I don't think baseball is boring.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I've not seen a white Satchel Paige. I've not seen a white guy pitch left-hand and right-handed a whole game. I don't even see white guys pitch all 9 innings now. You see what I'm saying? So you had not just the best athletes, you had us play the game like it was meant to be played in all parts. We knew we could play outfield, we could play first base, we could bat, we could switch hit. And so what happens is, because my son, I just took him this last year to the batting cage up in the Northeast, and 10 balls he hit 4. because he used to pitch at Edison and play baseball. And so I really think we give away a whole lot. And I would ask African American journalists in sports like yourself and Louis and folks like that not to let them contaminate our sports because you devalue our Negro League baseball cards.
Wow. And see, that's interesting. That's interesting you say that, Prince, because a lot of people felt that the major leagues devalued Negro League baseball at the time, even when they were signing blacks into the major leagues. You know, the major league teams didn't give the Negro leagues any very little to no compensation, and basically Branch Rickey, the guy who brought in Jackie Robinson, it's very well documented, basically said that, you know, that the league was run by people who were numbers runners anyway. We shouldn't, you know, they did not want to give those guys respect, like guys like Composey, you know, people who own the teams. I think they should be given their due as well. The people who own those teams, because the Major League Baseball, like they do in the Dominican Republic and there are other places, they just took these guys and did not give those teams like the Kansas City Monarchs and the New York Eagles any compensation. And that's something that I think that should be, you know, that's something that we should talk about. You know, we should definitely talk about that. So, Prince, you got any opinions on the Eagles and whatnot, real quick?
Yes, I think it was sad and it was disappointing that the same way Peterson came out and said, well, we're going to keep working with Wentz. I don't think we should pull him right now. He should have came out and say we are now going with Hurts. For him to say that everybody took a part in winning a game, he never said everybody took a part in winning a game when Wentz was there. He was like, we're going to stand for our quarterback. And so I try to tell people, when you got white fraternities and you got black fraternities, when you win a certain fraternity, you are fraternal. And I don't see it as much as it was racist. I see it as much as he was committed to that fraternity of having Wentz and paying him all that money and agreeing with paying him all that money. You know, and when you look over there at Dallas, that kid got hurt. And when you get that severe injury and you are playing as a free agent and you didn't ink the deal, now you know why most people sit out until I get the contract. You know? Right. And I really think I think he should go. I think he's going to do well because he recognized he's our Michael Vick or he's our Randall Cunningham. So when you got an instinct to run and you got an instinct to pass because they're coming, they're clamping down on the run, and that's instinct. That's what Wentz didn't have. And once he got Ryan Jaworski hit, meaning that when you get hit and you get scared, it was a wrap. The only problem is how you gonna move that $32 million that we guaranteed him? And I'm gonna hang up and listen to you. Thanks, Chris.
No problem, Prince. That's a good question, and that's a good question because the team invested in Wentz and he really has not produced. Now, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. A lot of that wasn't all his fault, but he hadn't produced, and I think the Eagles did what they could to help the guy, but just the way it goes. But like I say again, I can understand why people aren't necessarily sold on Jalen Hurts yet. They got to see more. So let's get to our calls. We got Joseph from Massachusetts. How are you today, Joseph?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay, man. A little time, man. I'm in the midst of grading papers, getting ready for a wedding, man. My life is just rest or sleep is something foreign to me right now.
It's better to be alive and doing a lot than to be dead and doing nothing. You know?
That is true. That is very, very true.
It's baseball. I'll tell you why they say it isn't that they say young black kids want basketball and football because they're more excited. It's not boring, but it's not true. When I go to Cuba, you should see them kids. They play baseball everywhere. They're crazy about baseball. Fidel Castro was a pitcher. They play on the freeway. With the island on the freeway, you see, I don't know how they could play there, but they play baseball all day. You know, it's what they call a lack of respect. Why? You know, after what, and I'm happy that the Major League Baseball putting the Negro League in the stat and all that. I think it's good because even places like New Orleans, not New Orleans, that city in Louisiana, Mississippi, I can't think of the name right now, but I'll show you one. 40
talking about Shreveport?
No, it's Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. They had a major league.
Mobile.
They had a major league. I'll show you. 40 years ago, 26% of the professional baseball player were black. Now it's 12%. My neighborhood I grew up in is loaded with Dominicans. They say Washington Heights is the largest Dominican population of the Dominican Republic, but if you incorporate...
Is that in Brooklyn, Washington Heights? Is that in Brooklyn or Manhattan?
No, it's in Manhattan, upper Manhattan. I grew up in Corona, Queens, about 6-7 blocks off of Shea Stadium when the Mets play. And I'm trying to recollect, but I was tied with somebody from a high school most valuable athlete. I think it was Luis Delasaco from Dominican Republic. He was... Scott was looking at him from the St. Louis Cardinals, I believe. But what it is, it's a cultural thing. As the Dominicans came by numbers, they get told that they control the baseball. Blacks had less interest in it. That's just what happens in reality in anything. Nothing against the Dominican player. But two other points. I used to go Harlem, and they try to get the blacks into baseball. I used to watch the Marcus Garvey, the youth league and stuff. But the thing is, we need to teach foreign people when they come here to respect African American and what they've been through. Now, I love Dominican people because they're nice people by nature, but they have a racist element in their culture with the Hispaniola Island and Haiti. So when they come here, the white-dominated society makes certain foreign groups, and Dominicans are one of them, feel that they're above African American, they don't have to respect the African American struggle. I learned when I first came to America, my teachers and them, they taught us you must respect what African American been through and what the American Indian struggle. We learned the issue, and I always remember that. But like real quick, on Northern Boulevard, I lived on 106th Street. You could drive straight about 6-7 blocks to Shea Stadium. And the Fos Bodego was opened in 1976, Dominican, right next to me. And now it's the official Mets deli. But what happened is the Dominicans start running the neighborhood, the attitude changed. The attitude in the Ecuadorian, the Bolivian, the Mexican, the Colombian, they all come in. And you had black flight. They had to leave because everything, like even on a popular shopping area, Junction Boulevard, I go there and the Dominican attendees will get mad at me because I can't speak Spanish. Now you're in America. English is the official language. So what I'm saying is you can see the attitude change, and the white people that run America, they like that. Like when the Indians from India come, when the Pakistani, they give them leverage like you could disrespect African American. So there must be a cultural exchange to let the Dominican. I have nothing against Dominican players or the Cuban players that come and play, or the Puerto Rican, but they need to know to respect the struggle African American been through. And since we're talking baseball, respect the fact that African American played baseball for a long time. My favorite player, Dow Strawberry, Dwight Gooden, Ricky Henderson, David Winslow, going forever. But thanks for taking my call. Have a nice evening.
You do the same, and we've got to go to break. When we come back from break, thanks for the call. We have Woody from Winfield when we come back. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Did you know you can catch the flu and COVID-19 at the same time or even back to back? Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of reducing your chances of catching the flu or spreading it to others. And the flu shot helps protect you and your community from the worst effects of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
1 month, 25 bold ideas. A more just, equitable, and prosperous Philadelphia. Join speakers like Reverend Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi, LAPD Sergeant turned police reformer Cheryl Dorsey, author and poverty fighter Wes Moore, Black Thought of the Roots, and WURD's own Charles Ellison for the Philadelphia Citizens' 3rd Annual Ideas We Should Steal Festival. Presented by Comcast NBC Universal, Tuesdays throughout December. Find out more and reserve your spot at thephiladelphiacitizen.org/Ideas We Should Steal Festival. For WURD members, check your email for discounts and complimentary access details.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PECO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at PECO.com.
PHL, this is Councilwoman Sherelle Parker. Right now, the best way to show brotherly love and sisterly affection is by keeping your social distance. If you and I keep our social distance from each other 6 feet apart at all times, it lessens the chance I can spread the coronavirus to you or that you'll spread it to me. We must also wear masks and cover our faces, but it doesn't replace 6 feet though. Let's keep our social distance to stop the spread. Text COVID PHL to 888-777 for updates. Thank you.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Every time I hear you talking about, man, that just energizes me, lifts me up. A couple of things that are going on today, college football-wise, conference championships, Ohio State and Northwestern playing today. Notre Dame plays Clemson for the ACC championship. Northwestern and Ohio State play for the Big Ten. Alabama plays Florida tonight in the SEC. So college football has been all jacked around because of this virus, man. It's hard to watch, but I still watch. But it's going to be interesting. Now, we have Woody from Winfield. Woody Woodard, what's happening, brother?
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to say to you, man, congratulations on your big day coming up. I heard the lady on the air, and I can see that you guys are quite a mate there. Y'all supposed to be together. I can tell you that. Just listening to your way and her way, when you guys get together, it's a great, great thing. So I'm very happy for you. I just wanted to, first of all, let you know that. The other side was I wanted to share with you about Dr. Paul, who comes on at 9 o'clock on Saturday. Dr. Paul's dad was in the Negro Leagues. And I heard Brother Prince, he was right on point. You know, we don't understand that a lot of times in segregated times we did very well. And the deep part about it is we did so well that you know what happened over there in the Tulsa, and they took airplanes and the buses and bombed they tore down things because the schools were so good. We were doing so great. And once the big money man dug into this, said, hey, wait a minute, they're doing great. We could be making that money. I say to you, I got an idea. I'm not going to stay on here and tell you on the phone. I'm going to leave my number. Hopefully you'll call me back. But I want to pull you and Dr. Paul together because I got an idea that I think that would be excellent. And it would also feed off of the fact that it plays a big, big role. And it's right in front of you. Everything we're looking for is right in front of us. Our history in this country is worth so much money. It's unbelievable. We got to put it to work, Chris. So I'm going to leave with Jordan my number. Hopefully you give me a call off the air.
I will do that. And the thing about it, Woody, I've been meaning to get over because of COVID and everything. You know, I would love.
I understand, but we can make that call. This call is important. Everything's happening right on time. The universe doesn't play games. It happens for a reason and a purpose. Donald Trump was the greatest thing that ever happened to America. Now, what does that say? That says that God knew how to create the devil because you had to know the opposition of what was good so you could know which direction you're going in. He opened up so many doors of what's wrong with America. He's a mirror of what America is. All he wants
you ain't lying about that.
Capital. Those baseball players played for nothing. When you look at these mascots and all these things, they started that. They made it entertainment. We can do that same thing over again. Now, everybody copies what we already did, and then after a while, it seems like we did nothing.
That's true. You know, that is very, very true because, and the thing about it, it's interesting you mentioned that because I was talking to, I was talking to the last caller. I think it was Prince.
Yeah,
I was talking to Prince.
I like Prince. He's a great him. I like all of those. Mark, Maurice, George, they all my boys. Jacob, you know, it's just WDRD has a valuable information of elders. Our children have not learned to sit at the feet of the elders anymore. That happens here in the barbershop all the time. They sit at the feet of the elder. They have to. I make them do that. The point that I'm making to you is that's a loss, a valuable thing that we need to put back in action again. That's why I'm saying your whole show today, I'd love to have a copy of it because that is so important. So many elders called today, and they were right on point. You can't know where you're going till you know where you came from. That's why I'm going to make my barbershop a museum. That's why I'm setting it up for that purpose. So I just wanted to let you know, man, that there's some things I think we could do. Dr. Paul needs to be involved, and definitely you, right after you get through, I guess, your big day.
Right. No, we got it. We got to talk about these things because, I mean, but one thing I wanted to talk about though was those black businesses. We said that Negro League Baseball was like the best black business in the country, and one of the tragedies that we don't talk about as the game began to bring in black players, it destroyed the Negro Leagues because they weren't, they weren't necessarily. Treated fairly. When they got played, they didn't compensate the owners. And Branch Rickey made it a point to say, it made it a point to say that they don't necessarily recognize those clubs as legitimate businesses because some of them were quote unquote running the numbers and all this other stuff. And that's all
okay though, Chris, only because the money was going in our pockets. So let them talk and say what they want to say. Let the spirit of the universe go back to work. We have everything we need. We just have to put it together, Chris.
Right. You no doubt about it. No doubt about that. And like I said, Woody, I will be calling you.
All right, my brother. And put me back with Jordan. I'll give him the number.
Okay. Yeah. Jordan, take his number down. Right now. Let me see. What else do we have? We have Brother Timothy from South Philly. Brother Timothy, what's happening?
You had a lot of great callers, my brother, who came on, and they were wonderful, man, with all the information they gave up. I'm going to say, brother, that a genius came along in music, and he went from music to Hollywood. That was Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy had all the singers, male and female, and they went out in the world, and they became and got their own recordings and did other things. But what he did is he said, look, we did enough of music. Now we're going to do Motown West. He went to California. And he did movies, man. And one of the best movies he ever did to tell you the history about baseball was Bingo Long and Traveling All-Stars. He showed you what it is when integration came, when you had your own businesses. And if you bought into it, people that recognize your talents. So I'm saying to you, the callers that became before me said one thing. The Berry Gordy put it right down, and he let you know that the Traveling All-Stars and the Barnstorm country went cross country to do what they had to do. Somebody tried to help them as much as they could. That was Madam C.J. Walker. She tried her best to do what she could with baseball as much as she could. But guess what? Integration overrode it. So just want to give you that spin.
Okay. No, but see, that was the thing. We have a tradition of business in our community and in sports business. It's a shame that was the bad part of integrating the game because we lost ownership, and it's a shame that if anything, what the Negro Leagues could have done, it could have been a place for developing not just black talent but white any talent, and it would have been black owned. And that's the point. I mean, you can own something. If I want to bring in black and white ball players, they play for me. I'm the black guy. I'm the owner of the team. And that was the thing, that tradition of being owners, that last little thing that Rube Foster, the founder of Negro League Baseball, that was his vision. He wanted not only for the players just to integrate the game, but for ownership. We got to think in terms of owning our own media, which is why I always tell you guys to support WURD, the Philadelphia Tribune, the Sunday Sun, all, Scoop USA, Neighborhood Leader, all little local media rags. You complain all the time about, well, the white media just does not treat us right, and they don't. But the thing is, have your own media outlets too, and have them strong. Feature reporters, right? Pay them if you can afford to pay them and stuff like that. But that's the thing. We have to consider owning our own stuff. We have Mamie from University City, and I have like two real quick, Mamie.
Congratulations. I'm glad it happened. It is wonderful.
It hasn't happened yet, but it will. It's going to happen.
At least it's no more fiancé. It's now Mrs. Murray.
Yes, I like that, though.
I do, too.
Right.
I do, too. And you and Denise have a very Merry Christmas and a even better New Year. And happy wife, happy life. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, that's the end of our show. And fellas, that is very true. Yes, happy life, happy wife, and yes, dear. And see, Jordan, you gotta learn that. When you get married, there's 2 words you gotta learn: is yes and dear. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody I want to thank everybody for coming out here today to the Chris Murray Report, listening to us. Great show. Josh Gibson Foundation, Sean Gibson. There I go again. The great grandson was here today. I want to thank Darryl Bell and all you callers, all you listeners who didn't say anything, who were just enjoying the show. Thank you for giving us support. We got one more show left to do this year, and that's next week. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy whatever spiritual realm you are in. Enjoy the season. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to go. You listen to the 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media. We'll see you next